Welcome to the Haney Biz Project with Mark Haney. Mark is a serial investorpreneur and the chief dreaming officer of the Haney Biz Companies. He's working tirelessly to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution and share the inspiring stories of the region's most influential leaders. Coming to you from the Marquee Media Studio, here's Mark Haney.
As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17. Yes, this is the Haney Biz Project. I'm Mark Haney, and we are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in our hometown of Sacramento. That's one entrepreneur at a time, one conversation at a time, and those conversations, they start with one simple question. Are you hanging or are you banging? Marcus Haney, how you doing, my main man? You hanging or banging today, buddy?
I am banging. Fired up to hear from our guests today. We got Urijah Faber coming on. Excited to hear about his entrepreneurial story.
We have Urijah Faber, we have Jason Bartlett, we have entrepreneurs. And you know, this story of entrepreneurship here for the Haney Biz Project is changing day by day.
No doubt.
We're increasing the influence. Today we have two superstar entrepreneurs on the show today. But, you know, we always talk, Marcus, about surrounding yourself with the right people. My dad always told me, surround yourself with the right people because you ain't worth a spit. You know what I mean? and we do that here on the show because when we put the right people in our lives, it helps us to get better. Marcus, do you have any experience in that realm? You are the Marine entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. In the Marine Corps, we were forced to be one around another, right? So I try to put myself around the best Marines possible. And when I started my business, I try to put myself into a position where I can leverage some past performance from folks like yourself, from Jason Bartlett and other guys who we've had on the show.
You bet. Now, it's Memorial Day weekend, and, you know, it makes me think about you and your brothers that have fought for our freedom. And you guys have a term in the Marines. It's called Semper Fi. What does that mean?
Yeah, Semper Fi means always faithful.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're looking at a business partner or someone that you're getting into a foxhole with or something along those lines, you want to know that that person always is by your side.
Yeah, and, you know, it makes me think, you know, about commitment, right? It's a commitment to one another. But there are people in our lives, I think we all know people who doubt us, right? I've heard people ask, and we asked this question on the Revolution newsletter this week, you know, why do some people say you can't have your cake and eat it too? Why are there people out there that are trying to tear us down
Haters.
in our dream? The haters, right? Why do you think there are people like that? And what should we do when we have people in our world that want to kind of dampen our enthusiasm, maybe bust on our dream a little bit?
Well, I think at the core of their thought process, they're a little bit jealous, right? Because they can't do it themselves, right? I mean, what's the point of having cake if you can't eat it, right? I mean, so...
Yeah, there are people out there that have quit on their dreams. There's no reason why that should dampen our dreams,
Absolutely.
Put out our fire. And today we're going to bring on some guys that really add fuel to the fire, add fuel to the entrepreneurial revolution, right? We have the billboard, right? I always talk about my Marquee Media moment, right? The billboard company. And when we first went out there on Marquee Media, the first text I got was from a guy named Urijah Faber. He said, Mark, that's badass, dude, right? And I was like, yeah, I have arrived. Thank you, Marquee Media. And, you know, I texted back. I said, one day I'm going to get you on that billboard too, Urijah. So we have done that. Urijah is on the billboard alongside me. And you know, this week I've got a number of texts about, hey, Mark, I love the billboard. It looks like Urijah's got you on his billboard, huh? And I'm like, yeah. Thank you, Marquee Media. Thank you, Urijah Faber. We are in the process of becoming known here in the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Sacramento. When we come back, we're going to share a little bit more about Urijah Faber. Later in the show, it's going to be Jason Bartlett, the founder and CEO of JKB Financial. But after the break, we will have the California kid, world-class MMA fighter, and successful entrepreneur, Urijah Faber. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, brought to you courtesy of Audi Rocklin. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Now, back to Marquee Media Studio and the Haney Biz Project with your host, Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Comstocks Magazine and California Backyard. I'm Mark Haney. And today I am joined by Urijah Faber. He is the California kid. He needs no introduction. How you doing, Urijah?
Good, man. I'm looking up at the sheet. Was it 2015?
Can you believe that? July of
Wow.
2015. We
Unbelievable.
broke out Entrepreneurs Unlimited. You were kind enough to be my first guest. I was extremely nervous. You held my hand. You got me through it. Everything's going to be all right. And so I appreciate you helping me launch the show
I
and
can't
helping
believe
me in
it's
so
been
many
since
ways.
2015.
Yeah, it is going crazy. We're growing. We're now on iHeart, right? We're on Talk 650. We're on Marquee Media. We're almost famous.
Taking over, man.
Yeah, we're almost
Taking over.
famous.
Yeah.
So, okay. So give us a little bit. So somebody out there who's listening might not have ever heard of Urijah Faber. There's probably one or two, maybe. Just give us an overview of who is Urijah Faber?
For me, I'm a regular guy. 5'6", almost. 163 pounds now that I'm retired, but I fought 135 pounds for the UFC. I was a world champion fighter at 145 pounds for the WEC, the same owners for that organization, and wrestled at UC Davis. Grew up in the greater Sacramento area. I was born in a house to some hippie parents in Santa Barbara, California. In the ghetto by the sea at out there in Isla Vista, California, and just a regular old cat. I've got a gym and a couple of the businesses that I'm a part of, and trying to have a good time and live the good life.
Some people might underestimate you. Have you ever been doubted or underestimated? Because at 5'6", I mean, it's like, hey, this is just some guy. He looks like a nice guy, or he is a nice guy.
I've got the gift of delusion, and also pretty good at ignoring that kind of stuff. So I don't ever feel like I was the guy that was like picked on or doubted and stuff like that. I'm sure there was. Right. I do remember having like a thought process like, when not getting respect or something, like you wait and see, like I'm going to show you kind of idea. But that, I'm a guy that pushes for everybody to give respect to anyone, no matter whether they're going to have success or not.
Well, you ever think, like, how do you like me now? Now, obviously, I know you real well, and I know your background. You were a popular guy in high school, played sports. You kind of had, a great life growing up. But just thinking to the people that might have doubted you is kind of like, how do you like me now? You ever think that?
I'll kill them with kindness, that kind of situation. And I like to keep everyone on an even playing field. And, I am proud of my accomplishments. Absolutely. The biggest, most impressive thing that I can point to when it goes from having some clout now to not having clout is being able to dress how I want, to walk into a club, like wear sandals.
Yeah, right now
and
we're
a
on the
hat.
we're on the radio. Yeah, he's got shorts on every time I'm around you. You rival me in the most casual dressed guy. Like, I'm trying to compete with you in that realm, but
You're
I
not
think
trying.
you might
That's
have
just
me.
you. But yeah, so for me, I like the ability to dictate my own time and space, dictate who I spend my energy and my relationships with, like who I surround myself with. I like to be able to do things that I love to do, and so that's my kind of how do you like me now is living the dream.
Well, how do you decide who to have in your life? Because everybody wants to be around Urijah Faber, so you have to have some sort of filter. How do you make the decision as to who you're going to spend your time with?
That's a good question, and it actually gets hard sometimes because I'm pretty accessible for a guy who, I'm in a town, everybody knows where I am, kind of know where I live, where I spend my day. It's at the gym. I don't have too many. I have my favorite restaurants in town, so I basically have to stay busy. When I'm busy, there's not much time for riffraff on the outside. It's like, look, I'm doing something, or this is my time, or whatever it is. So, it gets kind of hard sometimes to weed out who's going to steal your time and who's not. But I'm pretty good at it at this point. And
I always told the kids I coach in football, and even my kids, people I'm around, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future, right? The people you hang around with will really affect the trajectory of your life. Talk to us about where your empire is going. What are all the things you're doing, and where's it going?
There's a lot of truth to that. And, it works both ways. You either are drawn to other people that are running the same as you, and And I think I've talked about this before, but I talk about it in my book. It's like if you and I want to sit down and have a conversation, you're sitting right here. Here I am going to sit up. If I want to continue my conversation with Mark Haney and he gets up and starts walking, I need to get up and I need to start walking too. And if he starts running, I got to run alongside him. If he gets on a bike, I got to get on a bike and so on and so forth. So for me, it becomes one of those things where, to be able to hang, you have to be doing. And I can inspire people to do that with me, or I can be drawn to new folks in my life that are on the same trajectory. And I feel like there's both. There's guys that have come along on the journey, and there's guys that I'm immediately drawn to and, find a kinship and start hanging with. You know? And
well, you've had Tommy by your side since the beginning. Talk to us about like your inner circle. How do you develop an inner circle for this empire?
The inner circle comes down to loyalty, and I feel like I'm a good judge of character. They always say, a good friend will bail you out of jail. Best friend will be in jail right next to you. And I'm kind of I like that kind of mentality. Like you're in the thick of things,
I love that.
And somebody's with you, and so you can kind of see who those guys are when push comes to shove. I've had times. I remember, times doing stuff. I remember my girlfriend in high school. I was with her for 10 years. It was a strong relationship. And I remember I got really drunk in college one time and embarrassed the hell out of myself and in turn her. And I remember her just like being a little bit mad, but still having my back at the moment.
Yeah.
But like scolding me later, like, and I like that kind of thing. No matter what was going on, she had my back. But at the end of the day, she gave me a pep talk on like, hey, you got to clean your shit up.
Yeah.
And so for me,
we may have to use the bleep button on that, Jeff. Possibly.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
So
I think it's a $10,000 fine.
That's right. Okay. I thought this was a podcast. It's not a podcast. This is
It'll
big
be
time.
our podcast too.
This is big time. So for me, I like guys that can give it to me straight.
Yeah.
And put me in line, but also understand that, through thick and thin, they're going to be there. And Tommy's a guy, I've known him since high school. And, my dad, my family, everyone there is kind of, been a staple, and you have that family support. But, you can meet guys that you've known for a year that can be those core group, and you can have people that have, that you've known your whole life that aren't your core group. Yeah. So it comes down to, what is a person about? What is their integrity? How have they responded to what your relationship's been? And it's pretty easy to find out, but there's also, you can get duped, and I've had that happen quite a few times as well.
Yeah, and when that happens in business, it can cost you a lot of pain and suffering, sometimes a lot of cash. Well, let's find out about your business. This is an entrepreneurial show. It is about winning, so this is, very relevant stuff to me and the people that are associated with the entrepreneurial revolution. But I don't think everybody knows your entrepreneurial endeavors. You're into so many things. Can you give us like an overview of all the stuff you're into, and how do you sort out the time allocations?
So the big business is mixed martial arts. That's what at my core is. It's being an asset myself. I was just in a movie. I've endorsed products. I become parts of business because of my endorsement. My time is worth money. I give motivational speeches or seminars. I coach my team in my gym. That's me as a business and individually. Working on a podcast myself and things that are, Urijah related. That's one business in itself. Then I have my gyms, and the gyms are its own entity. I've got the UFC Gym in Rocklin. We've got another one we're going to work on in Folsom. I've got Urijah Faber's Ultimate Fitness, which is in downtown
That's
Sacramento.
the big one in Sacramento.
The big one in Sacramento. Then within that, I have my team. My team is its own separate entity. It's a professional organization.
Team Alpha Male.
Team Alpha Male. Team Alpha. We've got alpha males and females.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, we've got them both. We've got our own set of sponsorships, our own revenue streams, our own investment funds to build the future, etc., and our own trajectory plan to grow that with affiliates and online university and a couple other concepts that could do really well. I'm working right now with expansion into China, and I'm negotiating with some folks on that. And so that's its own business. And then within that, I have different businesses that are not MMA related necessarily, but I'm a part of. That's Torque Clothing and Vibe Health Bar and Liquidology and Purist Labs and Trifecta Nutrition.
Our friend Greg Conley. And I'm trying to get you involved with our man Garrett Marchesano.
Yeah, we got our
Sport, the headphones. I brought out the headphones because we're trying to get you on board for that. So
yeah, we just had a great discussion actually, and I've really enjoyed the product, and I need that. Yeah. And I have a lot of ways that I can help out and open some doors. So I'm pumped to be on the team. We're just meshing out those details now. So
love it.
For me, a lot of the stuff is still related. Trifecta Nutrition is organic food delivered with time easy. For guys like yourself and the way my schedule is, time is money. If you can save an hour here or save an hour there by not having to cook a healthy meal and still get that good stuff in your body, then that's good. That's Trifecta Nutrition, Kombucha Culture to Kombucha Distribution Company. We've got Purist Labs, a supplement company. It's all health.
It all ties back to your core values of health and living right and chasing the dream. What's the dream look like for Urijah Faber moving forward? You're into so many things. If you were to project out the future Urijah Faber, what's he look like?
First, freedom. That's what people always ask me what my motivation, or even during fight, my fight life. It was like, what's your motivation? What keeps you going? And I'm like, freedom. I want the time to be my time. And so things that I'm interested in now, I just filmed my first movie that I was a producer on. I wasn't in. It was a lower budget movie we're going to make an awesome product on. I've got a slate of 5 movies in the entertainment world. I'll be on screen on a couple of them, but the first 2 I won't be. I'd like to continue in that path a little bit more with the entertainment world, podcasts, movies, TV shows, etc., as a producer and on screen and as a talent. And one part I didn't talk about is everything that comes back to real estate. So then I have my businesses, that's the mixed martial arts world, and how that pawns out into a bunch of different things, including the nutrition and the team, and keep myself as a brand that's relevant. And then any money that's made, I'm always looking to parlay into real estate. I've got the commercial building that my gym is in, and I've got some rentals, and I've got a bunch of projects that have been basically complete remodels of my dad, who's a contractor. And I think that's the long haul play, is entertainment, fighting, and real estate.
Entertainment, fighting, and real estate. So that sounds like banging. We always talk on the show about, are you hanging or are you banging? When you're banging, you're at your very best. You're advancing the ball. You're at your very best opportunity. But everybody needs their downtime. So even a guy like Urijah Faber, who's banging all the time, what do you do when you're in your hang time?
For me, anything in the sun is good. I like rivers. I like lakes. I like the ocean. Some of these trips, I've been fortunate enough to where, like this last 6 months, for example, I was in Australia. I was in Mexico. I was in, a couple parts of the U.S., like Texas and Colorado and things like that. And I'm there doing appearances, but I'm also enjoying myself. If I can get out to the river, or the lake, or the ocean, I'll do that. Australia was amazing. I'm getting ready to go to Singapore. We've got some fighters going. So I still enjoy, I'm a fan of the sport, so I like being part of the fight life, and I like going to nice places that have sun in the ocean.
Urijah Faber, living the life. We're going to ask you to stick around. We're going to talk a little bit about the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento. You and I are in the same forum in Sacramento EO. But coming up after the break, we're going to talk to Jason Bartlett. He's the founder and CEO of JKB Financial. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com. Brought to you courtesy of Audi, Rocklin, and DCA Capital. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Marquee Media Studio with Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Hub International and Legion ABS. I'm Mark Haney, and today I have the privilege of being joined by Jason Bartlett, co-founder, president of JKB Financials. How you doing, Jason?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It took me 2.5, almost 3 years to get you on the show, but since Urijah was coming on your show, you're like, come on down, I'll hang out with my
Might
man
as well.
Urijah.
I've got some good secrets. So
Yeah, you've got some good stories on Urijah. We'll save that till after the break. This is all about Jason. Okay,
Yeah.
Who is Jason Bartlett? Tell us about your business. Tell us about you.
I'd say I'm just a kid from Auburn. Grew up. Mom was like a biker, so I kind of grew up in that subculture. And
So Urijah is the hippie mom.
Yeah,
You're the
and
biker.
she was a cross between a hippie and a biker, so they
Gotcha.
kind of go together sometimes. And I grew up, didn't have a lot of people to kind of look toward for direction when I was younger. I got taken in by my wrestling coach when I was in high school. So after that, went up to Chico. Then I started selling insurance shortly after that. And then I remember, doing well as far as in sales and starting to, do well on the financial end of things. But I really, really wanted the freedom. And I looked around to some of my friends that were business owners, and that's what I aspired to be. Guys like Hayden Markstein were good friends of mine, and different guys that I looked up to. So,
Do you ever get yourself caught up running in the wrong circles? I know you got taken in by your wrestling coach, and you're thinking about who you surround yourself with.
100%, man. I ran in a lot of wrong circles.
How did you decide to course correct?
I'm.
Are you still in those circles?
No.
Oh no.
No, man. I am making a very conscious effort, and I have for a while, to definitely be hanging around people that I aspire to be alike, or aspire to be like. So I've corrected that problem. But when you're younger, that's kind of what happens, man. You've got who you've got around you, and then you make do with what you've got, and hopefully you meet some interesting people that you aspire to be like, and then you start gravitating towards that.
Well, you and Urijah are both in wrestling. You're up the road in Auburn. He's down the road in Lincoln, and I'm an
Correct.
older guy now. I'm renting videotapes. I think probably while you guys were while you guys were doing all that wrestling in high school. But you got taken in by your high school wrestling coach. What happened?
So he was my junior high wrestling coach.
Okay.
And my mom was, her and I just butted heads. We had a lot of friction. She kicked me out to go live with my grandparents, and I love my grandparents, and they were great role models. So I enjoyed living with them, but I didn't enjoy living down in Berkeley, California. It was just kind of a culture shock from where I was from. So I was up for visiting my friend during the summer. And I bumped into Bill Green, who was my wrestling coach, and he said, "Hey, Jay, man, what would you think about coming up here and wrestling for Placer?" And he goes, "If I found you somewhere to live." And I said, "Man, I'm all ears. I'd love that." And he ended up actually saying, we had a meeting like a week later, and he said, "Why don't you move in with me and my wife?" He goes, "Nothing's for sure here. Let's give it a try and see what happens." And I'm very thankful for that, because that definitely changed the trajectory of my life. So.
Yeah, the people in your lives can have such influence, and I know that he was a very important part of your growing up, and it shaped you into the successful entrepreneur. So, talk to us about your business. You guys have built a debt settlement business and much more. Can you tell us about that?
So I started off doing a mortgage company, my first business, and I went from a hero. We went really quick. We went from 4 to 80 guys, and as quickly as that went up, it went down in 2008. And I remember sitting on my couch. I was in my house out in Morgan Creek. I had my Aston Martin in the garage and my Range Rover.
All the
toys, and I had the market had went down so quickly. Literally, we burnt through all our savings and all our business money, and I had $200 in my checking account. And I remember feeling like, looking around at all this stuff, and it bothered me more. I would have rather been like in an apartment on a mattress or something, because that's how I felt.
$200 and this mansion out in Morgan Creek.
And I text my buddy, and I was going to give him my Rolex that I'd won for selling $1 million of insurance that had a lot of sentimental value, for give him some collateral so I could borrow $5,000. He didn't even text me back. So I called Kathy Green, Bill's wife, who's like my mom. And she
Your wrestling coach?
Yep. And she gave me $5,000 to get me through next month. And we had started this debt settlement business because I was looking around after the mortgage crash. And I said, I got to start swimming with the current rather than trying to fight this whole real estate thing. And we started that with 4 people downstairs, and now we've grown that into 50 people. And it's a great business. When people are doing bad, they get credit card debt. When they're doing good, they get credit card debt. So it's a business that doesn't go up and down with the economy. So I like it very much.
Well,
And it's
you're helping solve a problem, right? People do make mistakes in how much they get themselves overextended. You're helping them to think straight and to get things corrected, right?
100%. And unlike the other settlement companies that just kind of go over the stuff and slam them into a program, we've got a really, really strong coaching component to ours. So we really get in there each and every month and talk with the client and go over their finances and do a lot of stuff to get them trained. So once we get them out of this debt, they won't go ahead and just get back into that debt again. So that's the most important part of the coaching, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, thinking about your business, it's grown. It's a national company, right?
Yeah.
So you're based here out of Sacramento, out of Roseville. What's the key to that fast growth? I mean, you guys are tearing it up.
Yeah, I think in our business, it's just, we can do everything over the phone. You know, we don't have to go out and meet people face to face. So my marketing is a big thing, and then just to train these guys that are, taking these inbound calls, these people that need help, to be really, really good, and to kind of grab these people by the collar and show them a good solution, because if you're confusing or you're weak on the phone, these people aren't going to have confidence, and if they don't have confidence, they're not going to have confidence in you getting them out of this problem. Yeah. It's almost like in the gym, I describe somebody as having credit card debt as like somebody that comes in overweight. And you got to set them up on a nutrition program. You got to get them on a workout program, and you got to hold them accountable.
Yeah. Life-changing type of offering that you guys have. And thinking about, though, as an entrepreneur, right, I always talk about allocation of resources is the most important part of our job as CEOs or as leaders of organizations, right? What do we do with our resources? What do we do with our time? So in thinking about that, hanging or banging. When we're banging, we're at our very best. So in allocating you, Jason Bartlett, what do you do with your time when you're at your very best? What does that mean to you?
When I'm at my very best, as far as business goes, when I'm in there in the office, I'm typically meeting with guys. I'm typically going over their techniques and their phone calls. I tend to be pretty intense, and I really put a high importance on having change. If I coach a guy one call and I bring him back in and he's still doing the same thing wrong, then I've failed. So making sure that change is happening is important, not just going through the motions.
Well, you say, intense. What does that look like from a coaching standpoint? You bring out the old wrestling stuff, or how do you motivate people?
I try not to do that because of, the HR factors that might be in there. But I just try to get my point across in a not so subtle way sometimes if I feel like I'm having to go back and forth.
Is that okay to be intense in today's society?
That's why I like to be gone a lot, because these guys can only handle so much of me. So that's my excuse for travel.
Successful entrepreneurs, they come in all shapes and sizes. So Jason's a motivator, right? He brings that athletic background. But you also like to travel, right? We talk about hanging. We all need that time to recharge. What's it look like when Jason Bartlett is, hanging?
So I don't like, my typical vacation isn't like going and laying on the beach for a week. That to me is okay, but I like adventure type vacations.
Okay.
So my goal is to be, to see at least 100 countries by the time I die. I'll probably see more at the rate I'm going.
Wow.
But to me, my life purpose and my vision is to travel around the world, be around interesting people that inspire me from all over the world, and that's where I get most of my juice and my passion from. And another thing is to basically have the guys that are working for me be able to attain some of their dreams too. So those two things right there are what inspire me. And I would say on my vision, that's what really, really motivates me. I know there's some people that we know, like in our forum, that, really are just workaholics. I wouldn't say that. I'm not like, that's not my passion, is to, be a workaholic. My passion is to be able to do the things that I enjoy.
Besides your wrestling coach and the philosophies that you learned growing up, who's been most by your side through this battle to build JKB?
Oh, battle to build JKB, definitely my partner, Tori. He and I have been through wars together, man. I mean, I think you get to know somebody's true character, not when things are just good, but when the chips are down. And he and I basically went through, we went down as far as we could go. And it was cool because it didn't really make us butt heads. It actually brought us closer together. And when we came out on the other side, it feels pretty good.
Give us one word to describe your I guess, commitment to Tori. One word.
One word. I would say loyalty.
Jason Bartlett, a man who is in my Entrepreneurs Organization Forum, along with Urijah Faber. We got to know each other really well over this last several years, and there's definitely a commitment and a brotherhood that exists in Entrepreneurs Organization. We're going to talk about that after the break. Jason, I want to thank you for sharing your story. We're going to get me, you, and Urijah on the show together, have a little fun. Coming up after the break. When we return, we will talk a little more about EO. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com. Brought to you courtesy of Chicago Fire and Apex Appraisal Services. This is the Haney Biz Project.
And now, back to the Haney Biz Project with investorpreneur Mark Haney, coming to you from the Marquee Media Studio.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Clifton Larson Allen and California Growth Advisors. I'm Mark Haney, and I am here with Urijah Faber and Jason Bartlett. We have been talking about growing businesses, the life of Urijah Faber, the life of Jason Bartlett. It is not quite the same, but one thing we all have in common is the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento. We're in EO together. I'll start with you, Jason. Just thinking about you joining up with EO. I mean, what caused you to join EO, and what do you get out of the Entrepreneurs Organization?
What caused me to join is a good friend of mine, Aaron Reeves, who you're friends with too. I'd always looked up
another
to him.
wrestler.
Yeah, another wrestler, man. And I'd known him since high school wrestling too. And he was somebody one of the guys that I wanted to be around more because I aspired to kind of be like him. And he had approached me and told me to come in, and then I had known Urijah at the time. He told me Urijah was in there, and I came down, and man, I love that first group of guys. I love the group of guys we had now, but that original group, man, they're near and dear to my heart. So I get I get out of it. It's a perfect place to be around guys that you aspire to be alike and that inspire you. And it's just like a brotherhood now. For me.
It is a brother. It's all business. I like to think of it as everything stays confidential inside the forum. You can share your highs and your lows, and you're doing it with brothers. And there's a few women in there too, or sisters. So Urijah, how about you? What caused you to join? What do you get out of EO? I mean, a lot of your time there is kind of giving back too a little bit to the community.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's always been about learning. I'm a guy that's very coachable, and I'm like the fastest turtle when it comes to business guys. I'm the fighter business guy, known as the fighter business guy, which isn't the business guy,
Wow.
So I'm always there to learn, and that's what it was all about for me at first. And the reason I was introduced to it was because my uncle, or my second cousin, my dad's cousin in North Carolina, had reached out like maybe 2 weeks before I had a fight, and I'm all about hooking up my family, and reached out to my dad and asked if I would come to Vegas and speak to his EO group.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's it about? And my dad was like, he said he'll fly into Vegas. It's just it'd be good for you to catch up with them, and then then he'll pay for your flight and everything, and you get to hang out and see the family. I'm like, yeah, sure. So then I was introduced with him and met his group that he'd been with for 10 years, and I gave a speech to them on winning, and then I actually hooked up a bunch of tickets to a Muay Thai fight that was happening, and gave them a really cool experience, and we went all out to dinner, and he was explaining to me what it was, and then he's like, yeah, you should check it out in the area, and I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. And then I talked to my buddy Dave Shapiro, who is not an entrepreneur. He was a CEO of a big company at the time. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so and so-and-so. And so he hooked me up with an interview or a meeting. And I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
So
Entrepreneurs, I mean, you're very humble, Uriah. Obviously, if you know how to win in life, I think that transfers to business in so many ways. I mean, but just being around other successful people. I always think, like, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Even though I'm a C student from Oakmont High School, I figured out a way with this radio show to put myself around the most successful people in Sacramento. And I think that's what EO is, too, for a lot of us, is like it's successful people that have sold companies, built very successful companies and had great exits and have really changed, the lives of their families and their friends. And obviously it's great for our hometown of Sacramento. So when I think of EO, I think of it as like being around, the best of the best. I don't know, Jason, talk to us about like, what do you love so much about EO?
Just like what you were saying, being around the best of the best. I mean, we were talking earlier about, being around the people that you want to be like. What more perfect place? And it's not just being around, because sometimes, I'll have certain friends that are at a really high level too, but when they go out and we're doing the friend thing and socializing, I don't want to sit there and drill them about business. The thing that I like about EO is it takes down all those walls. I can ask Mark Haney about anything I want to. I can ask him how much money he makes. I can ask him, how his relationship is.
Not enough.
And, me too. So that's what I like about it. There's nothing that's taboo or off limits.
Yeah, it is too. I mean, how about you, Uriah? I mean, we had a great event the other day where we had the Iron Cowboy, and this guy shared the story of perseverance in running triathlons or Ironman competition. What do you get out of EO besides just the camaraderie?
It's about connections. They always say it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know, which I kind of believe, and I talk about this in my book. It's not about what you know, it's not about who you know, it's about who you know and what they think about you in addition. Like, people forget that part, because I have people drop my name all the time that I don't want dropping my name, and when they get brought up, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. So it's not about if you know him or not. It's like, do you have some personal credit?
Yeah.
That's one thing. And so for me, this is a fast track way to, build great relationships, because we are dropping our defenses and putting it out there and picking each other's brains and asking for advice or asking for, you to share your own experiences, etc. So it's a fast way to mold with guys that already have a common ground, so I like that. And then, like you said, the Iron Cowboy, that's something I wouldn't have otherwise experienced. He came in and talked about his what he's accomplished, and that was crazy. I mean, he for those who don't know, he did 50 triathlons,
50
Ironmans in 50 different states in 50 consecutive days, and then was like setting amazing times doing that as well, and had to coordinate like travel and coordinate rest and overcome all sorts of adversity. And so, that in itself was just like a little eye-opening thing. And then it resonated to everyone that we were with, because it's, that's how business is. Business is a bunch of turmoil.
Well, you get speakers that are so successful, they're even motivating a world-class athlete like Urijah Faber.
Yeah. One other thing too, with the EO thing, is that people, we don't talk about this, is this thing's a world, a fraternity around the world of business people. Like, I'm going to Japan in June, and we're putting the word out that we're going to be there, and we're going to link up with some, EO members in Tokyo. Nice. I went on one of the most amazing trips that I've ever been on to Nepal at an EO event, and the access that you get when you go to these events in these different countries from the EO chapters is something that you can, I don't care who you are, you couldn't get it.
You're
just
dealing
being
with
a
the best
guy.
of the best in Japan, the best of the best in Nepal. I went to Greece and was dealing a couple years ago with the EO. I think we're all going, I don't know if you guys are going to Macau or not, but Macau next
For
year,
sure.
Leadership group's going out there. So it's just, it's an incredible a secret. So what I'm doing, I'm going to be the incoming president, right? And you guys are helping me to build the club a little bit. And I want to escape from obscurity, if you will, right? I want to have EO become not the best kept secret in Sacramento. I want to bring it, out into the into the open. You're right. How do we make EO famous?
I think the biggest thing is just education, just like anything else. Like, we're talking about it now, and then we start recruiting. That was my job in college was recruiting at UC Davis. I was a coach, you know, some of the talent that I scouted ended up later being on my fight team. But you know, I think we got to keep our eyes open, and then vice versa. You know, if you're out there and you think you might fit the demographic, you know, outreach, it's a great resource. It's something that you can get a lot out of. You can build some great relationships and network inside a community where networking is super important. I mean, Sacramento is a big enough of a city, but it's still a tight-knit place.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show today. I want to thank you for your friendship. You know, we're brothers in EO, but even beyond. Thank you guys very much for sharing your story. I hope today we motivated one entrepreneur out there. I want to, again, thank you guys very much. Next week, we're going to have Sandy Sharon. She's Kaiser Permanente, Harold Presley, Sacramento Kings, former first-round draft pick, and Jason Braley. He is the sports medicine guy for the Sacramento Kings. When we return, Marcus and I will share our takeaways and a little story about putting the right people in our lives and how it can change our life. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com. Brought to you courtesy of Ethan Conrad Properties and financial advisors, Stifel Financial. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Marquee Media Studio for Mark's takeaways from today's Haney Biz Project.
Show me your friends, and I will show you your future. We are back at the Haney Biz Project, back here with the marine entrepreneur, Marcus Haney. Look at the friends I have put in my life, Marcus. How do you like me now?
Yeah, I don't know how you got so famous all of a sudden, but you got guys like Urijah Faber, Jason Bartlett. Come on.
Jason Bartlett in my world, man. I mean,
I love it.
So thinking about any takeaways, closing thoughts from today.
Loved hearing about EO, how it affected both of those guys in their business. You know, I didn't know Urijah was involved in so many things, and that's awesome to see a guy like him that never shut it off. And I also liked hearing from Jason about, you know, how he put his friend into a position that he is so blessed to be a part of. So they do great stuff over there.
No question. You know, we talked a little bit about putting the right people in our lives, right? And I think we have to ditch the doubters. Urijah, I don't think had a lot of people that doubted him along the way. But I think a lot of us, you sort of have to shrug them off, I think, like Urijah does, because we all have people in our lives that say, oh, you can't have your cake and eat it too, or, you know, that'll never happen. We all have people that make us even second guess ourselves a little bit. So I always think, you know, ditch the doubters and backfill with believers, right? We have to put people in our world that believe in us, where we can be ourselves and will help us to bring out the greatness that we have inside. Somewhere it's deep down inside us. Sometimes it's hard to find, but you know what? That's part of winning. That's part of building our businesses. Thinking back to my career, and after selling my companies, I went on, we merged the two largest security distributors in the country that were independent, went on a roll-up strategy. We were going to build the billion-dollar dream, right? My team had the billion-dollar dream in mind. We merged with another company, and we really put ourselves in a position to become the one, and we actually became the one. But what happened was we merged with this company led by a 63-year-old man. And here I am at the time, I'm about 47, and I'm going to be the president, he's going to be the CEO. And we're working to build this company. We're starting to buy companies, and I'm realizing that I'm being circumvented. He's the CEO, supposed to be grooming me to be the next CEO, but he's sort of grooming this next guy, right? This other guy out of New York, right? He's a New York guy, and here I am out in California. I'm kind of getting bypassed on all the big decisions. It's like, wow, and I am trying as hard as I possibly can. And one day, I just decided, you know, I'm trying to, you know, stay in with this guy as much as I can. I realized I had this little rash around my mouth, and I'm like, oh no. And I had been kissing that 63-year-old man's butt so long, I had developed this rash, and I had to quit, right? He made me, I won't say he made me, the situation, I think, started becoming not fun, and maybe I even started doubting myself, right? As these guys circumvented me, I'm like, wow, maybe I need to rethink who I have in my life. And here I am now. I think that led me to really coming back and focusing on my hometown of Sacramento. It started with a bottle of wine. I had this guy, I call him the entrepreneur next door. His name is Tom Candress. He moved in next door to me, and I didn't know at the time, but he would become a brother of mine. And I walked over with my wife and kind of a shy guy, Mark Haney, and going to take the new neighbors a bottle of wine. We bring over a bottle of wine, and we become friends for life. He brought me into the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento. Without Tom, the entrepreneur next door, I would not know the brotherhood that exists within the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento. And it all started by getting the doubters out of my life, backfilling with brothers like Jason and Uriah, people that believe in me, helping me to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in Sacramento. So as I think about any of us right now that are thinking about, I'm going to build a business, or I'm building a business, I'm chasing my dream, don't we need to put the people who are holding us down kind of off to the side? We don't need to whack them in the head, punch them in the mouth. Maybe we just need to sort of eliminate them from our lives and put people in our life, backfill with people in our life that make us better. That's what the Haney Biz Project is all about, bringing you the Sacramento stories that make us all better, right? That put us in the mindset to build our dreams, to chase our goals. So just a little shout out to all those, Marcus, here on Memorial Day that fight the good fight for our freedom, our security, and our way of life, like you did, like you took one for the team, for the country. Can't thank you enough for that. And a shout out to all those who are battling the fight here in entrepreneurship, to the 13 Stripes, to the 50 Stars, and to all the people in your life that believe in you. They're always worth fighting for. Never above you, never below you, always by your side.